Hi, my name is Connor, and I'll be presenting alongside Josh, Nick, and Jack for the Let's Chat presentation. My entrepreneur is Richard Bryce. He was born in the UK and came from a working class background, with both his parents working long shifts in the prison and police sectors just to make ends meet. During high school, his father began his own business, and Richard started to realise the value of money. His career kicked off with Energy One, where he experienced the entire life cycle of a company through startup, growth, and even crashing on the stock market. He eventually landed a CEO role with the company in Sydney and completed an MBA whilst there. In 2011, he moved back to the UK and ended up quitting his job. The following week, he started Utilitex with an idea and a PowerPoint presentation.
Thanks, Connor. As Connor alluded to earlier, the entrepreneur that I have selected for this analysis is Ramiz Ansar. He is the co-founder and director of Circles Life, who is responsible for determining the overall direction and strategy of the company. Ansar was highly successful in his tertiary education, receiving an MBA from Harvard Business School and also graduating from the National University of Singapore. His extensive past industry experience include working as a financial consultant at BCG during the financial crisis, becoming an associate director of Temasek Holdings, and also co-founding the technology-based telecommunications venture, TechCube8. Circles Life was established in 2013 in Singapore and is a fully digital mobile virtual network operator, or MVNO.
Thanks, Josh. When selling jewelry online whilst you're at school leads to a partnership with American giant Ice.com, it was made abundantly clear that Nick Millar had an knack for entrepreneurship. With the global financial crisis setting in throughout 2008, most were bunkering down and cutting costs. However, Nick was analysing consumer behaviours, which led him to his huge break. The GFC had left its mark. Millennials were throwing away from the spending of credit. Millar, bringing this attention to the soon-to-be partner, Anthony Eisen, it was evident that there was a large gap in the market post the GFC, a gap Afterpay grabbed by the horns. With exponential growth for Afterpay since its launch in 2014, Millar is enjoying a tiny net worth of $341 million. Now, if that isn't enough to get you interested in the success of Afterpay, take a look at Afterpay's stock price. An IPO listing of $1 per share back in 2016 to be now worth a staggering $44 per share. With a $1,000 investment, you would have made $44,000, or a return on investment of 4,300%.
Thanks, Jack. As previously mentioned by my colleagues, my entrepreneur, Arturo Elizondo, started Clara Foods. Arturo was born in Mexico but raised in Texas. He spent time in the Department of Agriculture and conducted research on global food security when he became obsessed with the problems faced in protein production. These varied from animal cruelty, extensive land and water consumption, and the common question, how are we going to continue to feed the world's growing population? Obsessed with this idea, Arturo began his journey as an entrepreneur. Arturo established Clara Foods with the help of 2 team members and together reinvented the egg. They brought this idea to Silicon Valley and received backing from the world's first biotech accelerator, IndieBio. Through a fermentation process combining yeast and sugar, Clara Foods are able to produce the same proteins, flavor, and texture of eggs. Why is this so monumental? Because humans consume over 1 trillion eggs per year, and it takes over 2,000 liters of water to produce a dozen, not to mention the land and animal cruelty involved. Clara Foods' process eliminates 75% of this water usage and does not involve extensive land usage or the need for a chicken. I believe this makes Arturo unique in his passion and dedication to sustainability.
In comparison with the other entrepreneurs, Richard shares an array of entrepreneurial characteristics and traits. Like Ramiz Ansar, both illustrate passion in the tech sector. Bryce and Ansar's extensive prior industry experience and connections to social networks have been key initiators in prompting their entrepreneurial ventures. Ansar exemplifies high levels of motivation and self-efficacy through the creation of Circles.life. Similarly, with Bryce, he considers himself to be a passionate entrepreneur who will pour his heart and soul into anything he does and is driven to pursue an idea and make it work. Bryce and Ansar both acknowledge that they share creative sides. For Ansar, he looks to drive innovation through encouraging employees to push the boundaries and experiment with new ways of doing things. Whereas Bryce always wanted to move the needle each week. He often works with trialling 3 ideas, seeing which one works, and then pursuing it. As Keteria and others argue, entrepreneurial creativity is positively associated with a firm's performance. Bryce's Utilidex was one of the first companies to put total creative solutions on the cloud. Similarly, Ansar built the world's first fully digital telecom operator. Nick Molnar is described as a serial entrepreneur, meaning he has launched several companies in the past. Bryce is the opposite, in a way that he has only launched a single company. However, I believe their mindset is quite similar. In my interview with Bryce, he alluded to always coming up with new ideas to make things better. I believe Molnar acts in a similar way. He just spreads his ideas across multiple ventures. Moreover, Arturo Elizondo and Bryce are alike through the passion they share in their respected industries. Elizondo's heritage founded his passion through reinventing traditional farming methods that were more sustainable and morally right. I guess what all these entrepreneurs share is that they all located a lag or gap in the market. Their driven and motivated nature allowed them to actively pursue an idea and make it work. When quizzed on what type of entrepreneur Richard considered himself to be, he couldn't quite allocate himself to any of the categories. Rather, he considered himself to be passion-orientated, stating that whatever he loved doing, he would pursue, and there wouldn't be anything holding him back. What also stands out to me is his journey and life experiences. First, growing up in a poor family, finishing uni, moving to Energy One where he learned the ins and outs of a business alongside a mentor, and then moving to Sydney and making connections that he points out as key drivers to facilitating his entrepreneurial venture. A lot of people don't get the opportunity to experience all these things and do what Richard has done, which I consider quite remarkable. I feel his approach to business and his way of working with threes is rare. Not many people would want to move the needle each week and consistently trial different things. However, this approach has allowed Utilidex to become successful and be amongst the first companies to integrate solutions onto the cloud.
Amongst our selected entrepreneurs, we identified several similarities with respect to the uniqueness of their businesses. A unique theme present between many of our entrepreneurs is the lean business models that they utilised. Circles Life implements a completely digital business-based model, where no physical storefronts are even present. This is also evident at Utilidex, who are one of the first companies to start putting solutions on the cloud, meaning that their staff can work remotely with their clients. Afterpay is also primarily online-based, making them unique from other financial providers. Further, Circles Life's non-hierarchical structure and recognition for their high-performing employees is quite unique, as they recognise innovators with financial rewards which can include bonuses or even 6 months' worth of company stock. Afterpay's non-hierarchical structure also allows team members to have a voice and bring fresh ideas to the table, which is also very similar to how Circles Life operates. Lastly, Clara Foods is a highly unique social enterprise that has reinvented how eggs are produced, alleviating the mass amounts of land and water used in chicken farming. Likewise, Utilidex offers sustainable solutions for their clients on how to optimize their energy and also make carbon savings, demonstrating how both businesses are socially responsible and unique in their respective industries. After analysing each of our organisations, we found that the unique customer-orientated business-to-consumer operations of both Circles Life and Afterpay differentiate significantly to Clara Foods and Utilidex, who both tend to focus on business-to-business operations. While Circles Life's cloud-based system Circles X is similar to Utilidex's cloud-based financial solutions offering, Clara Foods and Afterpay have not gone down this road. Instead, Clara Foods has focused their efforts towards researching and engineering the fermentation process, whilst Afterpay has shifted their focus towards making their transaction system seamless and secure. Further, Clara Foods has not yet invested in artificial intelligence and machine learning, as seen in the other businesses analysed. Additionally, Circles Life is unique to the other businesses, as they are the only ones to have engaged in a partnership with a government body, evident through their partnership with EasyLink, Singapore's public transport system. This compares greatly to other businesses who rely solely on commercial agreements and partnerships. Having the pleasure of meeting and presenting to Ansar at Circles Life late last year has really shown me how unique of an entrepreneur he truly is. His passion for innovation and creativity is second to none, continually driving innovation throughout the business through extensive employee recognition and by giving his team the freedom to work without the fear of micromanagement. His unique source of motivation stems from his close circle of friends and family, who are actually the beta testers that they used before launching. In addition, his unique background of co-founding several investments and telecommunication firms illustrates his serial form of entrepreneurship.
Thanks, Josh. Now I'm going to delve into a similarity that each of these entrepreneurs share: finding gaps in the market. Nick Millar and Afterpay. He had a clear vision based around millennials steering clear of credit post the GFC, the gap. Through charging merchant fees and not the consumer, it was an ingenious way to assure consumers felt like they were winning whilst using the app. Richard Bryce and Utilidex. The gap being there was a lag between industries gathering their respective data. The solution? There was a need for cloud computing. This led Richard to quitting Energy One on his way to work one day. The gap so promising, he had Utilidex up and running a week later. Arturo Elizondo and Clara Foods. Reworking the traditional methods of farming to find a suitable way to produce enough food for the billions living on our planet. This led to the creation of Clara Foods and help from Indio Bio. Finally, Ramiz Ansar and Circles Life. Identifying several gaps within Singapore's telecommunications industry. One of the larger ones was the lack of mobile plans available that offered large amounts of data at affordable prices. So now that we've analysed the similarity of finding gaps in each of their respective markets, let's have a look at some differences. Arturo Elizondo had a pre-existing passion for the agricultural industry, and his motivation was clear: provide the answer to the problem of being able to feed the amount of people on our planet. This kind of motivation is closely resembled to that of intrinsic motivation. Compare this to Nick Millar and Afterpay, whose motivation is more extrinsic. It wasn't so much about solving a worldwide issue, but more creating a new and innovative way for consumers to buy products. Furthermore, Nick's lack of experience in his industry is quite unique and a characteristic not shared by the other entrepreneurs. Like Elizondo, Richard Bryce also has a strong passion for the industry in which he works. With years of experience under his belt in the telecommunications sector, it would have given him confidence to follow his idea. However, unlike the other entrepreneurs, his motivation was most likely sparked by his own father's success in the entrepreneurial world. Lastly, Ramiz Ansar, like Richard Bryce, is also in the telecommunications sector and was motivated through family and friends. However, Ansar was further motivated by trying to create a better quality of life for the consumers in Singapore. Kind of resemblance with that of intrinsic motivation and Arturo Elizondo.
Arturo views sustainability as an integral part of his purpose and processes. This is reflected through his reinvention of the egg and the issues he is fighting to combat. Whilst Arturo has rewritten the traditional farm factory model, his long-term survival is dependent on the open-mindedness and adoption of the consumer. This is similar to Circles of Life in consumers' willingness to adopt a new network service when it is a saturated market. Similarly to Arturo's passion for sustainability, Richard Bryce recognizes a changing consumer preference and is tackling this through changing Utilidex's traditional grid power to renewable energies. This will ultimately serve as a competitive edge in the energy sector and will help guide Utilidex's survival. And, just like Clara Foods' innovative process, Afterpay's unique transaction system has very limited competitors. As Arturo is fairly new to being an entrepreneur, he has some key differences in comparison to the others. Unlike Arturo, Circles of Life and Richard Bryce are able to accredit their survival through the experience and serial entrepreneurship displayed by each. Through assessment, experience, and process of elimination, they can almost guarantee a successful idea. Furthermore, Circles of Life and Afterpay both place importance on their team building. This is shown through Circles of Life's Space Explorer program and Afterpay's non-hierarchical system, which allows for cross-communication, development, and constant innovation. Through the use of team building and retention, both can increase chances of long-term survival. Utilidex and Circles of Life also share a completely digital-based model, meaning saved costs on overheads and are able to operate and innovate anytime, anywhere. Unlike Clara Foods, Richard Bryce is able to use intellectual property, labeling his ideas as his own and deterring competitors. Finally, Afterpay's flexible business model allows for sustainability in times of economic hardship, establishing itself in the consumer's mind as a trustworthy business and forming a connection that will last a lifetime. Despite coming from differing backgrounds and being motivated to initiate their ventures through differing circumstances, all entrepreneurs possess many similar characteristics as shown through this presentation, ultimately leading them to success in their own respective industries. Thank you.